Hi guys. So I have a question for you. For anybody who's interested in college, regardless of your age or what you're doing right now, have you ever considered going out of state? So, to give you a little background, I personally am from Chicago, Chicago proper. I grew up on the south side. I've moved to the north side. I lived in Jefferson Park, Mayfair, Kenwood, all that jazz. Anyway, um, lived in Chicago, go to school in Southern California in the LA County. The funny thing is, when I came to high school, I never thought I would be going out of state. I didn't think I'd be actually getting out of the state because I didn't really want to at the time. But because of just various things that had happened over those 4 years of being in high school, I realized that I really wanted to try going out of state. So, the reason I'm putting this video together today is because I want to put to you questions that you may or may not be considering when it comes to this whole process. First things first. Why? Why would you want to go out of state? Why would you be considering this? I'm not saying this because you should or should not. I'm saying this because unless you know your why, you won't really be as prepared. In the sense that it's fine if you want to do this on a whim, if you want to go out of state because you just feel like you want to try something different. That's okay. And if it works financially, if it's far more better for you financially and you are also inclined to do so, great. But if you don't know why you want to do this, and if you don't really understand your motivation behind going out of state, then the problem was that if you go out of state, if you are admitted and you decide to do it, it will be a transition. And if you don't have your reasoning, if you don't have a why for why you put yourself in the situation that you did, you might become really frustrated and really just frazzled and stressed and think, I don't even know why I'm here, I just want to go back home. And while it's valid to want to go back home, and I will have I'll have a video for if you've decided to go out of state and you just don't know how to deal with it. Yeah, of course. But anyway, if you want to go home, that's fine. That's normal. Homesickness is valid for anyone, regardless of in-state or out of state. But it helps, in general, when you have an understanding of your reasoning, when you know why you're doing something, especially in a case like this. So my next question is for people, probably, it's for everyone actually. Anyone considering going out of state, regardless of where they are, on the I really want to go out of state, or my teacher suggested this, I don't really know if I want to, but I want to consider it. This question applies to all of you. How is the weather at your home? I know. Why talk about the weather? I mean, it's important. And it's not just, oh, I'm stuck in a cold season all the time. I'm freezing in the wintertime. It's so humid in the summer. I just want consistency. I want you to consider weather because, one, the weather will have a greater impact than you realize. If you're coming from California, where it is, at least Southern California is consistently sunny and 70 degrees, right? and you come and you go to Chicago, for example, the reverse of what I did. You're going to be dealing with 4 seasons. You're going to be dealing with humidity. You're going to be dealing with so much stuff that you didn't anticipate, probably. And while the weather seems like it shouldn't be that big of a deal, it's going to always be there. So when you're not prepared for it, when you think, oh, it's not that big of a deal, whatever, like I did, I made that mistake. I was like, ooh, maybe 2 seasons instead of 4 seasons is nice. Maybe I should just, potentially stay in California. I like California. I need my cold weather fix. And, yeah, it's something I didn't realize was important. But if you're transitioning, just be prepared. If you really love the school you're going to and the weather doesn't even really matter, just be prepared if you find yourself saying, ugh, it's always so sunny. I wish it would just be cold. Or, why is it so cold outside? It's only 10 degrees. So, yeah, just something to consider. Weather is far more important than we realize. And then my final question, just for right now, because I love this topic. I think it is so important to just actually understand there are differences. There are similarities and there are differences between going in-state and out-of-state. And people don't get that because you just can't understand something until you've actually experienced it. So my last question is it's actually a 2-parter. How far would this college be? 2,000 miles, 200 miles? And have you ever done anything like this? See, it's valid to go out of state even if the state boundary is only 200 miles away. That's still far. And if you don't have a car, you just can't come home every weekend. But there's a difference between 200 miles away and 2,000 miles away. Because, it makes sense, but people don't realize the difference. That means you can't come home every weekend if you're 2,000 miles away. You can't even come home for long weekends because that's a plane ticket, not a car ride. And yeah, there's just the first part, the whole how far is it? There will be a transition regardless of how far you are. There will be changes. There will be awkward, homesickness and frustration and stress and exhaustion because change is stressful. It's really fun, but it's also really stressful. But if you take note of how far it is and just see what would it take for me to get back home if there were an emergency or if I just wanted to come home for fall break, winter break, whatever. Gives you more of an idea of how you would actually feel about being that far away. Now, my disclaimer is, I believe anyone can go out of state. I believe everyone can be far more independent than they may give themselves credit for, and I believe they are far stronger than they probably give themselves credit for. So this is not a
look this up and become afraid of what the possibility is.
This is if you really want to do this, understand, get an idea of what it's going to be like. So that way, if it does get overwhelming, or if you do get stressed out, it's not entirely overwhelming. It's, oh wait, this is so, wait, what? But, it's confusing, but it's also, I watched a video about this. I've read about this. I do have an idea. Maybe I should do this. Or I remember someone saying to do that. When you research this sort of stuff and you really know what you're getting into, it'll make it easier. And then, if you've never done an away camp, if you've never done anything more than, I went to a friend's house for a few nights, you will be in for a shock regardless of how far away you are from home. And that's just something to keep in mind. if you've been going to a summer camp in, like, if you're from Chicago and you've been going to a summer camp in Wisconsin for, like, years, and it's like an away camp, you probably have an idea of what it's going to be like. But if I've done only like a week-long camp, and I was like, oh, I've done that, I can do this, it's a completely different experience. And that's something people just don't talk about. Alright, so if you've liked this video and this conversation in general, feel free to give it a thumbs up. I love this conversation, and I think this is one that people don't have as often as they might want to, or as they should. So, this is going to be part of a series of videos that is going to we're just going to talk about various things, whether it's advice, questions to keep in mind, the differences, the similarities between in and out of state. It's all going to be discussed. And if you're interested in that, you feel free to go over to my channel, hit the subscribe button, just check it out and see what I have to offer. Because I have experienced homesickness, I know what it's like to be far away from home, and I also understand that just because I'm far away from home and some of my friends aren't necessarily as far, or they can go back home on the weekends, it doesn't mean they don't have similar experiences. They don't have similar transitions. My goal is not to ostracize either one. My goal is merely to give you information on this topic so that you can make the decision that's best for you. So I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you later.